Hey there, my name's David. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to pick a backcountry camping spot. On surface level, you might think just find a flat spot and put your tent down, but there's actually more to it. So let me show you a few things. So first off, this is where I'm camping. I got my tent here, beautiful British Columbia here. Now this spot here, I used a bunch of rocks to set up my tent, and this is a flat pad. There's actually two spots here, which I think other people have cleared out. There's no camping pads around here. This is all wild backcountry camping. So my buddy was camped out right here, and you can see this is a perfect spot. It's all nicely groomed, all the sticks removed. That's the thing, you don't want to have any sort of sticks like this on your spot. Even, rocks and stuff, this will rip your tent and poke through it. So nice and flat, this has got a bit of moss on it, so this is ideal. The only thing to think about is how big is your tent. If your tent's long and it hits this rock, then maybe if you want part of your vestibule to be on that spot, because you got to think of where you're sleeping. If you're going across there, you can actually walk your feet out, which is what we were doing. And count it like this, 1, 2, 3, and you want to count about 7 feet to get the very basis of where you'd be sleeping. In the case of my tent, I just barely had about 6.5 feet, and then the rest of it kind of sticks out on the rock on the opposite side here, as you can see down here. So this still worked out because my head was down here, and I'm just all the way out that way. There's the setup in there. I went through here and just groomed all this and removed all the rocks and sticks, so it's just perfectly smooth. So now you know what ideal spots look like. Let me show you spots that are not quite as ideal, but you may just have to camp on them. So first off, if you're looking at something like this, you're like, oh, well, that's pretty flat, but really, you're not gonna get enough space here, and you would be having part of your tent on this. This is like 1/3 of a foot. That's too much. Like, you're gonna be really uncomfortable on that. If you absolutely had to, maybe you'd have your foot end of your sleeping pad or something on that, but you wanna stay away from stuff like that. If we go down and look over here, you might think, oh, that looks all super flat and there's nice heather down there, it should be soft. In reality though, this heather has quite a bit of drop off it. It's almost the same as the rock. You can see there's big trenches in here, and this is quite a bit of difference from there to there. So if you were to sleep here, this would not be comfortable. Initially, when we got here at this spot, I was looking over here, because right in this spot here, there's a bit of a flat spot here. But something to think about is this is going downhill. So you always want to put your head uphill. But even if sleeping with your feet downhill, it feels weird. The blood kind of drains a little bit more. Plus, you have all this extra heather and stuff that's pushing up on your tent. It makes everything lopsided. So, this is, if I had to, I could sleep there, but that's not ideal either. If we keep looking here, you got the same sort of thing. You've got more heather here. You've got about 6 feet long, but this is once again downhill going this way. So we go down by the lake here. There's a few spots that look really ideal, but they also have problems as well. So these areas here, right by the lake, it seems nice. You can get close to the lake, get water, and it's super flat. The problem is water seeps up through this stuff. So as you walk on here, you hear that? So water seeps through there, and if you have a tent with a floor that will eventually soak through, you're gonna end up getting wet from underneath. If we look over here, same thing with this one. It's just kind of muddy here. And even though it doesn't look immediately muddy, it will get muddy if you're laying on there for 8 hours. So we went around here and looked for all the best spots. And there might be a few spots here on the edge. I was looking at this spot right here, but this is sloped this way. So you don't want to have your body leaning this way when you're sleeping. If you look over here, this looks perfect, right? Except you end up having rocks like this that are jamming you in the back or in the leg. Same thing over here. Even this one here, you can't tell, there's a big rock there, so this is really uneven. So when it comes to backcountry camping, you're looking for the best spot possible. Sometimes you have to sleep on that stuff and you won't get the best sleep, but you really want something like we have over there where it's just dirt or gravel. You can just groom it and make it super smooth and flat. Or you're looking for heather that you can kind of smush down a bit and it's flat. You don't want it angled this way or this way. You want it just perfectly level. Initially, we walked into this area here, which is just above all those grassy spots, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, but look at all these rocks and boulders down here. Like, this is just a nightmare, and you can pull out some of these, but it turns out it's usually more work than it's worth. And some of these big boulders, you can't pull them out. They're just huge. So even though there's a perfect flat spot there, it's got boulders that ruins the sleeping experience. Often with backcountry camping, you're having to choose, do you want a more beautiful spot? You want to have the doors open? Do you want to see the sunset on the mountain? Or do you want to have a better spot, but you're not near the lake or you're further back in or it doesn't feel as nice? A perfect example of that is, so we've got the lake over there, but coming in here, we've got this little kind of inlet thing here, and it's flat here. It is moist, but this is drier than the boggy stuff that was over there. So you could sleep here and it's flat and it'd be nice, or you could sleep back here too. But now you're getting away from the lake. You won't have the view. I mean, you could sleep over here. You know, you can find spots over here too that'll be great. So it's a bit of a trade up. It's something you'll have to figure out for yourself. Can you sleep in a, you know, not perfectly flat ground? Does that bother you? Or do you need perfectly, you know, flat ground to sleep on to have a good sleep? You know, these are things you kind of have to figure out, and then, you know, you decide from there. We opted to go over there. We found those perfect spots in the perfect place. So that was good to go. But often you got to spend half an hour looking around to find those good spots. And finally, I'll take you guys up here. So I noticed someone had cleared this out before too. This is not a really popular place to camp, but people do know about this because you can see there's a fire pit here. But so someone has cleared out this, and perfectly flat, has some rocks in it. So depending on what kind of floor you have, just something to think about, this will be a little bit more rough on the floor of your tent. But this is a big flat spot. If you've got a big square tent like a Dan Durston X-Mid, that would fit perfectly in there. We were originally going to camp here because he's got a square tent. He's got the Big Agnes copper spur, and I've got a Z-Pax. So I need a long skinny spot. I could probably fit 2 of my tents in that spot, but he needs a square one. But then we found those better spots. But if you look here, he could have got his copper spur here, and then my Z-Pax one would have fit perfectly right there. And you just clear out a few more of these sticks and these rocks, but it would have fit right in there nicely. The only difference being is that one's a little bit more rocky and rough, and we were able to clean that other one out and make it pristine and perfect. So there's no wear on the tent, and it's a better view. So sometimes you just got to look around a bit, find the best spot. Hopefully this helped you guys out for finding a backcountry camping spot here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one.